Rugby Wrap-Up, Major League Rugby 2022. Who's going to win the West? Dan Power, Bryan Ray, and Matt McCarthy answer that question. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up, Major League Rugby 2022, our first show of the new year. And what better way to start it off with than with Dan Power and Bryan Ray, respectively in someplace Austin-y and someplace Swiss Alpsy. Bryan, are you in the Alps? Where are you?
I've been hibernating for the winter, actually. I just got the call that the season was starting in a couple of weeks, so figured I should at least call in for this before I make my way south again.
All right. Have the Bears been asleep up there, or what are you doing? You got your sled, the dog sled? How are you getting around?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a wrestling match with the bear earlier. I didn't like me hanging out in his cave, but we've sorted it out. We've sorted our differences, and the sled's actually just on the other side of this camera now. They're just chilling out. You
got a spoon for warmth, guy, right? Dan, you're probably in a warmer climate, even if it's Denver or Colorado. It's got to be warmer than where he is.
Oh, my heart's warm because I've just finished Inside the Scrum, listening to the warm, soothing voice of Stacey Page narrate over it, and Sam Harris, Mark Gerard. How good's Connor Mooneyham on that show? He's the real star. Two things I've noticed on the show: Connor Mooneyham, we should be putting as much behind him to build the brand of Austin in Major League Rugby. And Sam Harris has abnormally large ears. They had a close-up of him from side on. I'm like, damn, Sam's ears are really big. And it's the part of your body with your nose that grows your entire life. So good listener, I guess.
I don't think that's true.
I'm pretty sure that's true. Let the Rugby Wrap-Up fact checkers... Your nose and your ears keep growing your whole life.
I don't think so. I don't think my nose and my ears are growing, to be honest with you.
Slowly.
All right. Okay. All right. But Sam Harris is going to be looking for you because you just made fun of his ears.
He's beautiful. I just saw a shot where I'm like, those are abnormally.
It's a couple of car doors, open car doors on the side of his head.
Not like the wingnut one, but just like the.
You're reeling it in now. Don't reel it in. You put it out there. Let's run with it. But Dan, you are a controversial figure right now, Dan, because you hung up the mic allegedly, and now you're a suit with an alleged franchise in St. Louis. Can you comment?
Yeah, not really. But, as I stood in the middle of the Coliseum last year, Matthew, after the final, and I felt like I was behind Bryan Ray. I was on Everest. I've done it all. I've ticked all the boxes. No, it was mainly some family stuff. The travel, as you guys both know, sometimes can be quite demanding. And I've had some life changes. One of them may revolve around a franchise in Major League Rugby. And it just felt like it was the right time to kind of focus on some different things. And I'm excited for those different things, and including spending more time with my family. So getting some weekends back and being a fan of Major League Rugby this year is going to be great. I can proudly put on the burnt orange again and support my Gilgronies. It's the number one Gilgroniac. But yeah, no, nothing bad, nothing untoward. I've had a lot of people reaching out.
Brian, this is executive speak. He's already gotten the executive speak down, Pat.
He's got the hair slicked back down.
He's got everything. The hair slicked. There's no baseball cap on this time. He's got the glasses. He's looking like a corporate. He's already a suit. And it's the St. Louis Power is what my intel tells me. That's the name of the team.
Yeah.
Pretty embarrassing, really.
Gorgeous Dan. The gorgeous Dans of the Midwest.
Hey, you're getting no argument here, but let's talk a little about the teams that are before us in this 2022 season. We have the Dallas Jackals added to the roster, but we're going to go first with your boys in Austin, Dan. What can you tell us about the Gilgronies that we don't already know?
Mate, they're building, aren't they? I mean, anyone who's watching the documentary, is it a documentary? It is a documentary. You kind of get a look at this year, and you're quick to forget how low Austin had got. right? Our very own Detroit Lions or Cleveland Browns, that winless season, and then they, started to turn things around. But they're gearing up. I feel like they've circled 2022 as a year that they're going to go all the chips, middle of the table. We're going to go win a ring. Gilly can have matching, one for the left, one for the right now. He's Giltini and his Gilgroni rings. But, man, they'll be up there. I've loved watching the show and getting a little behind the scenes on Sam and Mark and their coaching philosophies and styles. Very current and something that I would have enjoyed playing under, just their transparency and how open they are. And you can see the communication. It's a good culture in there. We know LA's culture is amazing, but I think Austin's building something special this year, Matt.
Yeah, they look like a good team. I mean, we saw last year they had a pretty good experienced pack, but they maybe need a little bit extra firepower in that back line. And it looks like they've got it. They picked up some guys, Marcel Bracchi, of course, coming in from the Eagles. Mark O'Keefe, that stellar, center who starred for ATL last year. And Julian Dominguez from NOLA Gold out of the wing. I mean, that's three pretty dynamic attackers. Ryan Lawrence, the scrum half, this Australian, they got, well, I guess he's South African from Australia. So
that's the worst kind.
They look like a good, solid team again. And they've also got a lot of continuity as well, certainly on the coaching side as well. So that always helps. So I think they're going to be a good team this year.
Shouldn't Connor Mooneyham be going back to Dallas?
Honest choice.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Where's the league saying, all right, we're lending you because he looked great in those colors. His eyes would pop.
No. This is great. This sets up 1v1. Now we have Mooneyham versus Napowski in week 1, the battle of the number 1 draft picks. This is good drama. I like this.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's go alphabetically. Let's go to the Bobcats. Oh, and since there are no Bobcats and no C team, let's go to the Dallas Jackals. We know they don't have a head coach as per the big announcement, but what do they have?
Well, they have a team, so that's good. The guys are all there. They've got a field. They've got lines in the field. They've got posts up. No, in all honesty, Choctaw Stadium, the field there looks fantastic. I think it's going to look great on television. They've got all the players there. They're all training. So, that's a great thing for Dallas. I think it's going to be a tough year, and I think this is going to be the first year we really see how tough it's going to be for expansion teams moving forward, because the player pool is just, it's thinning out a bit. So you can't just come in and find 25 American guys who are MLR quality anymore. So I think this is going to be a tough year for them. They've got some, a handful of good imports, but it's going to be a tough one. I'm just excited that they have a team, and they look great. I like the jersey and the color scheme they've got.
Bryan, shouldn't Dallas just still have Connor Mooneyham?
No, look, they dropped out. They had him last year. They could have had him then, and it was their choice to postpone their arrival in MLR till this year. So that's how it goes. They got a couple of their guys back. Carlo Donation's back. Who else did they get? Bronson Tellez. But hey, that's how the cookie crumbles when you make those kind of decisions.
Much to Brian's point, challenge is just getting on the field, because I'm sure recruiting was difficult for them after last season, pulling out late, and players were probably hesitant to go to Dallas. But looking at the facilities, they look really nice. Once they get on the field, okay, boom, I think they'll have something to build from for this year. But I think it'll be a pretty lean year in Tough Town, USA.
But you've also got the rugby consultant, Bryan Ashton, there. And did he coach Ireland and England?
I don't think that's allowed, is it?
How does that work? Well, look at Andy Farrell. So
yeah, that's true.
So I like the color scheme. I think it would look good on me, that color. So anybody that wants to send me a free Dallas Jackals hat, specifically a hat for a bald guy, I'm ready to root for you guys. Guys, hold that thought. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
And we are back. And gentlemen, before we continue with our West preview, we do want to acknowledge what happened in Atlanta, but we don't have all the details at this taping, so we're going to have to table it until next week. In the meantime, back to the West preview. Houston, Daniel, what do you think about your fellow? You will stay in Texas.
Yes, and Texas, the Houston South Africa Cats have been dubbed. I think half the country got immigration rights from Johannesburg to Houston 2022. I think, was it 6 or 7? I think Bryan had the photo and he named everyone in there. Was it 6, 7 guys got in?
6 who arrived, but they've got more than that.
Yeah, I know.
I think 9 of them.
They do know you can only have 10 on the 23 roster, right?
Well, who's counting? Come on, lighten up.
Lighten up. I'm sorry.
Wow.
No, they'll be the big improvers in the West, like no doubt about it. And the only way was up for them, but I think they'll rattle some cages this year for sure.
Bryan, you agree with that assessment from our fine colleague Dan Power?
Yeah, the Safa Cats, they look like they're going to be pretty solid this year. And they also got a few RGs in there as well. Solvera's back, but they're getting, a couple.
They also got a couple of Eagles sevens players.
He's pretty good in the sevens, and Juan Pablo Zeiss, a nice tight head. So,
but what
that's
about
right? Maka Unufe and Matai Leuta, Danny Barrett. So these guys are going for the kind of bully beatdown squad. They've got everybody's a big ball runner, so they're going to be a big, aggressive, formidable team this year. I wouldn't, they might take a little bit to get them all to gel, in the first few weeks of the season, but once they get going, they're going to be a problem for everybody, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, that facility is just tremendous. It's the Cat's Meow trademark. Cat's Meow trademark rugby wrap up. I was just down there with esteemed colleagues, John Broker, Grant Cole, and Mr. Pat Clifton calling those games in that all-star weekend for the NCR, and it was a spectacular event. And we even had another Sabre Cat in his second year with the team, Nick Boyer, in the booth. And, he's one of those guys where you're glad you're on radio, so you're not standing next to him on camera, because he's just a god, right? He just looks great. And then I go down, we got like 8 seconds to do a pee break because we're all fat old white guys that have to go to the bathroom, and we're taking turns. And I run down and I run to the urinal. I'm doing my business. I look up and there's Nick's face on the wall in front of me with the Sabre Cats head. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. But anyway, that facility, and you're right. And Nick Boyer, it was, all the guys that were down there. I saw Maka. He's recovering from that Achilles surgery, but he's looking good. He's working out. They all have, a whole different feeling, because I went down there last year and did your Toronto versus Sabre Cats game, Bryan, and that was a snooze fest. They didn't score until 20 minutes in, and then it was but anyway, whole different vibe. And we'll get to your Toronto Arrows next week, Bryan. But let's continue on the path here and go up to Los Angeles. And Dan, since you know the team so well, let's start with Bryan on this.
Well, they were the team to beat last year. I think they're the team to beat again. They lost a lot less guys, to be honest, than I thought. I thought a few of them would get picked up maybe for Super Rugby. Certainly Harrison Goddard, that scrum half.
Why the hell would you leave that franchise? Why would you leave them?
Wow, that's a fair question. Maybe I didn't take that into account. I should have asked.
Suits in Vegas.
Yeah, they look good. I mean, if anything, they've got a few upgrades at some positions. So, yeah, they got depth right through the team. Unfortunate they traded James O'Neill, our Canadian flanker. At least he went to Toronto, but
they got Hanko Famisize. They got Hanko Famisize
there. Had enough in New York. Is that it? Did you just scare him away?
Well, I mean, he's playing on grass in the Coliseum for a team that's throwing around money like there's no tomorrow. Not that it's illegal at all, but Dan, can you blame him for going over?
It's listen, he's rolling the dice here, right? Because he's running into a pretty backed up back row there with Cottrell, who's probably one of the best forwards in the league last year, and Poitevin when he's healthy. So if that whole back row is healthy and they're putting their strongest side on the field, I don't see Hunko in that starting pack. So that's a risk. So let's see how he goes. And this is his 4th team now in 5 years of MLR. It's early days of MLR, but I wonder if that carries some weight as well.
4 teams. Nick Boyer laughs at 4 teams. Laughs at.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I don't think Hunko and Nick are in the same ilk of a player, though. Nick's a good player, but Hunko is, an international player, and you want to build a franchise around guys like Hunko.
Let's go to San Diego, Daniel.
Well, they are putting a lot of investment in the senior players here, aren't they? Robshaw, Nonu, Peterson, all on the wrong side of 30 here. I think they'll come good. I really do. I've heard some good things about the new coaching staff there. The players are, responding a lot. They've gone out and signed some big locks, which we've found to be quite important in MLR in the first 5 years, to have a strong set piece line out and having some big locks. They're hard to find, big athletic locks. So I think they'll do well. Again, to me, the test here is, how are those bodies? How are they going to handle the grind of a long season? How's your rotation with Robshaw, Nonu, and Peterson going to be, and kind of work your way? And who replaces them? Like, where's your depth there in those positions? Can you rest all three at the same time? Probably not. So yeah, it'll just be a juggling act. But I think San Diego, probably, I have them pegged to come second out of the West behind LA.
Bryan, can you answer all of Dan's questions, rhetorical and otherwise?
I missed like half of them, so no.
Is it the wind swirling behind you? You can't hear?
It's breezy out here.
Or the howling from your starving sled dogs?
Some of that too. Maybe the bears in the background had to be a little antsy.
So what do you think about San Diego? Where are they going to place?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything that Dan said. They are leaning a little bit on some of the old timers, but maybe they'll be revitalized in that California air. And I think the thing we haven't mentioned really is the stadium. I mean, they're leaving Torero. That's their spiritual home. That's a big blow, and to be playing on top of a parking garage. I never imagined Ma'ananu be running out in the SDSU sports deck, to be honest, but I guess you do what you got to do, right? So it's a short-term solution, but I think that's going to have a little bit of an effect on them. I mean, when Torero Stadium is packed with fans, that's a big boost for that team. So unfortunate for them. And I think that's a little bit of a blow. I still think they're going to be good. Certainly they're going to be better than they were last year. I mean, with all the moving around and all the just bad luck they had. So if Robshaw can stay fit, if Nanu can stay fit, if Peterson stays fit, I mean, they'll give anybody a good game. I mean, they could challenge LA on their good days. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
And anything is better than playing in that public park in Las Vegas that they were playing in last year. That was, come on. I mean, sports deck is pretty darn good. But there's a team up north that might have something to say about that, and that is the somewhat retooled Seattle Seawolves, Daniel.
Yeah, back-to-back champs. Can they get back to the halcyon days? We'll have to see. They've been quite quiet on the announcements and recruiting, and we know there's some players that aren't coming back that have moved on, in Dev Ferris and Aaron Matthews headed down to Nola Gold. But outside of that, we'll have to wait and see. I think when they're healthy, and we saw this at the back end of last season under Alan Clark, they started to make some progress. And now he gets a chance to actually go into a preseason with his roster. Like, there's no, unknowns. And I know there were some stories that came out of Seattle about him just cutting players on the spot and whatnot. And that's his right as a head coach. But now that's not in play. And he gets to have a full preseason with the players he wants. And we'll see. They've got the horses to do well up there. They still have a lot of talent. I feel like the league improves significantly every year, and it takes a significant investment to stay with the improvement. So maybe they'll have a couple of late signings that get me excited again. But for now, I have them as a mid-table kind of team on the West.
Well, and they still got that jewel of a stadium and that great fan base. So that's always that 16th man, right, Bryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in last year, they started the first couple months, I think, of the season. They didn't play a single home game, which was maybe a tactical decision that went backwards. They won't have that this year. They're right from the get-go out in there. So that's going to be a boost for them. I think, Dan kind of covered it, a lot of it. Clarkey kind of went through his squad last year, decided pretty quickly who he wanted and who he didn't. He signed a lot of guys to long-term contracts now. So he's kind of building his team from now to the future. So, but there's also some guys to look forward to. Tavite Lopetti, who came in straight into the Eagles side.
Great player.
great pickup for them in the draft. He could be the best pick in the draft, depending on how things turn out. Martin Yosefo is just a super stud from the sevens. So for him to come in, is he going to play in the wing? Is he going to play at center? He's dynamite. So can't wait to see him out there. A few South African guys have come in, Creel in the center. They got Mostert, this young fly half. So there's some interesting guys where if they work out, they could be a pretty tough team. Getting them quite up to a championship level like they were before, probably going to take a little longer, but certainly a lot more to be optimistic about with them this year than there was last year.
Yeah, you mentioned the sevens guys. I spoke to a bunch of them, or a handful of them that are making that transition, and they're going to beef up and play at a heavier weight. They don't want to, they don't want to be at the sevens weight. And I know that, like Danny Barrett, for instance, in the World Cup in 2015, he came from the sevens program to play, as a flanker, and he had, he was like 215 or he was at least 15 to 20 pounds lighter than he would have preferred to have been. And now these guys will have that luxury and an off season and the ability to train solely for 15s. So all these guys that are making that transition from the sevens teams are going to make an impact, and I think a positive impact. Finally, we have the Utah Warriors. And I got to say, I've seen Brandon Sparks around at these college things, and he's scouting away. What's your take on them, Brian, since they're almost as cold as where you were?
Well, I love that Brandon picked Emerson Pryor, this Canadian prop who I have high hopes for. He's a young loose head, looks very promising. They lost Fraser Hurst, the other Canadian, unfortunately, but these things happen. At least they got one left.
Is he really lost?
Yeah, he's very lost. He's up doing commercial real estate in Canada. Somebody give him
behind
a shaking,
you,
get him back into professional rugby, hanging out with Brock Stoller somewhere in the rugby wilderness.
God rest his soul. What happened to Brock Stoller? What happened there, Brian? What happened with Brock Stoller?
Wins 2 rings in a row, rides up to the sunset, nothing better.
Still out there somewhere.
All right. I mean, is he done? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it for Brock, unfortunately, with professional rugby, but that's okay. We got other guys on the go.
Dan, your take on Utah?
I want them to do so well, Matthew. I really do. I think they'll slide a little this year. Fraser Hurst, Michael Basker, both Uniteds gone. I think they'll miss Aston Fortain more than most people realize. He was just unreal at the lineouts. They've got some good signings, but as always, until we see them, MLR probably needs another 5 years of data where we can see how some signings perform before we can be like, that's going to work, that's not going to work. We've seen the mixed bag, so to speak. So I could see them sliding a little bit, but you never know. On their day, God, they were so fun to watch this last year. They were just the true entertainers of the league. And Teo's still young and firing. Crusade younger and firing. And just that talent pool in Utah, they uncovered a few. Logan Tano was one of the big ones this year. He's been blowing it up with the 7 stuff as well. James Vaifale on the wing. I mean, really,
pretty solid.
Yeah. You got McClellan, Vandenberg's coming back. So there's a lot. Bungagoto's coming back. So there's a lot still there. But again, those couple of the 9 ones are a challenge for me. Like, who's going to really be not only your starting 9, but your backup 9? Like having Hurst and Basker that was a pretty deep kind of 9 set up there.
Yeah. I like them. And they're like Tom Brady. Every time you count them out, they show up and they surprise you, right? Guys, I love you, but I love our sponsors more, so we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer's Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back. Brian, final thoughts for you on who's going to win the West?
I think LA is pretty clearly the number one seed. They still have a tremendously strong squad. And, like I said, I mean, their depth might even be better this year. So I just think momentum from last year, bringing it into this year, they've got everything going, continuity in the coaching, continuity in the team. LA for me is clear number one seed in the West.
LA is his lady. Dan, you said that LA was going to win it again?
Yeah, listen, when you lose a head coach, it can sometimes be really disrupting. I think Darren Coleman was such a good head coach that he empowered his assistants. And Steve Hoyles, I'm a massive Steve Hoyles fan. Obviously he came through that time at the Brumbies in Australia where they were just probably the best team in the world. And he's taken a lot of things from his time there, and he's done his apprenticeship. He's learned under a lot of really good coaches. I don't think it'll be as upsetting as other head coaches leaving in the past with other teams, with DC going to the Waratahs. I think Hoylesy will step in nicely. He has Adam Ashley Cooper, who gets his first shot at coaching as well, who's sticking on. So not playing, we'll see. We'll see a couple of weeks into the season. Wink, wink. But yeah, Corbs is going to be there full time now as well.
He's going to play too.
You keep threatening that, and he's just out running around California like a madman trying to recruit
like
people.
28, he's like, in prop years, he's like 27.
Yeah, if that. He's a good looking rooster too. Cool.
Yeah.
But that'll be good. They'll come out number one. Unless there's something catastrophic on the injury front, they'll be number one.
I'm going crazy here. I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Gilgronis. The Gilgronis giving Gilchrist a real dilemma. Which hand wear which ring? Do you wear two on one finger? What do you do? Do you mix and match? What do you do? That's what I think is going to happen. You heard it here first. And guys, unfortunately, we're out of time. I mean, I want to talk to you guys forever now. I haven't seen you in so long, but we are out of time. And on that note, I want to thank Mr. Daniel Power, Mr. Bryan Ray, and you for tuning in. And please check out our college rugby wrap-up and our other episodes. And please sign up for our newsletter. And definitely, please, sign up for our Rugby Wrap-Up American Red Cross blood donor team, because they need blood donations more than ever right now, particularly with the Omicron going on.